the red pill Roundup. So sit back and have a cup of tea with Gary DeForve. All right. I'm just going to read this. This is about an interesting story. This one guy, Tatsu Ikeda, he used to be on this one site, The Real Progressives. I should have a picture here. I mean, if I was doing this, I'm going to get to where I could like just throw up a picture of these motherfuckers, and get this more professionally done. But this is this just weird site. Therefore, they focus on a MMT. For pages like by this place, Nina Turner. They like Nina Turner. They like Great Palast. They're very much catering to progressives, but they really aren't pro-Bernie. There's like specific like, oh, Bernie doesn't get it. Crazy Bernie doesn't understand MMT. They have this thing MMT, which is basically means you could just, you can print money, and that's actually, better in some ways than creating it out of debt, like otherwise it's created. So, which I think is a pretty valid idea, but then they don't talk about like any redistribution really. So basically all this would kind of go to, so it makes you think that like maybe they're somehow related to who, or maybe there's this like the 52 pickup strategy where they just want to throw a bunch of shit out there, like to get people to chase shit any which way. So I'm just going to go to my, this is one of my Facebook pages, and Facebook just threw up a crazy thing. It says like, it was the thing like, we want to get to know you better. Do you think Facebook is good for the world? Generally good for the world? I mean, that's a big fucking question. I'm not going to put like a 1 in 5 question. Anyways. So I'm just going to read this because this has like I don't know whether, I haven't even read this all through because I don't want to bore myself over and over. My voice is not like doing great right now. Tea. I'm going to put some lemon and honey in the tea. But I'm going to read this because this records some of my experiences with this Tatsu Ikeda, who basically, there were all these people who were related to this one Real Progressive site called The Real Progressive, right? And it focuses on this MMT, which now I've got to like look into. They like focus on a job guarantee. There's the Stephanie Kilton. There's like, they seem like they have some legit economists, and is a bit of an alternative to traditional economists. I don't see how it's that much different from a type of Keynesianism, honestly. So, but I mean, because you could just print the money and then you can just give it to anybody you want. That's a way to do it. Like right now, what we're doing, we're just pumping money and giving it to like the ultra rich, and we're not taxing them. So we're just like compounding the problem of income inequality very, very obviously. That's why I try to like people should be able to like get like, these are like basic freaking things, basic. All right. So I'm just going to read this, a bit about my story with Tatsu Ikeda. The strange case of Tatsu Ikeda. I just got to record my wacky movie idea. Well, it's a crystallized nugget. ... I use the ... probably too much. I'm going to work on that. Never mind. I'm going to continue on and read it, and enough with the side shit. Okay. I just got to record my wacky movie idea. Well, it's a crystallized nugget. Yesterday, when I was trolling this guy who was part of this ring of fake leftists, like Debbie, Sane Progressive, or Claudia Cabin Talk, Tatsu Ikeda, oddly worded, he's concentrating on how climate change is a hoax and the 9/11 truth. And I was trolling him, this other guy, Daniel Curcio, who is like an ex-Marine, gay, green activist guy, who is also talking about taking the red pill and stuff that is too right-wing to be taken as mere coincidence. Another fake left libertarian personality. Friending people, putting out videos, the whole bit. So I saper with him a bit, and eventually this lady calls up a bunch of other trolls. Yeah, so I spar with him a bit, I guess is what I'm saying. And this lady calls up a bunch of other trolls. One especially who has a YouTube series about training yourself to understand media. Now, I haven't gotten to the part where he says that 9/11 is an inside job, but he's already started to introduce the topic of false flags, which of course is a key component of the libertarian propaganda reference. Al Jones, I'm not sure what that means. So, in another way, discussion, I called this other. So, anyway, in another discussion, I called out this other broad, supposedly named Mina Uberhausen, who I called out as a fascist for saying that the labor theory of value is BS. And I guess what triggered me was the smug smiley wink emoji. I don't think making videos, but is very into engaging people and teaching about the free market. Yeah, this other lady you can look up on Facebook. I don't know why I like to switch to that. I just happened to like the transition was weird here, but this other girl named Mina Uberhausen, very attractive, and like teaching people about the free market. So I'm saying it's just like it goes on and on and on and on. All these people doing this same uh, story. So Will Markham, back to the story, Will Markham was one of the trolls, and he said, "You should apologize to Daniel Curcio, etc." And then when they all called me a pussy hat wearing liberal, like it was the funniest goddamn thing in the world. I'm more of a classic socialist libertarian, a la my boy Gnome. I am always on the same topic. Libertarianism is fake BS propaganda. How can you fall for this stupid shit? It is so obviously fake, and on like that. Like I am. Obviously, I'm a one-track pony when it comes to like libertarianism. That's all I'm on the track of. Is like, I could do a side thing of why that I think that's very important. But I'm going to continue with this story. Anyway, this is when Markham shows up with this weird, what looks out to be a kind of prefabricated documentary, which I spoke about the prefabricated documentary thing when I was speaking about Peter Joseph, where it looks like he's using all these repeat elements. And Markham had like the same type of thing going, but obviously much less skilled than a Peter Joseph, just a total amateur. And I said, I've seen so much libertarian propaganda becomes really obvious the similarities. It is almost like I've seen the same film and media clips in almost the same order before. I'll make a list later of all the people I have identified as being involved. I hope I can get one to confess to me and do a Skype interview and rat the others out. This sounds wacky, I know, but we know what is behind the fascist techniques. Gaslighting, the big lie, and I have in parentheses 9/11. Please look up the big lie. I could do another thing like about like I learned about like the Nazi concept. People will believe a big lie. You can like rally around people. That's why it's interesting that you're able to rally around people around something like 9/11 or a religion or something that's so obviously fake. But people are willing to say like, "Oh, I believe in this. I'll kill for this religion or this stupid idea." Like the big lie works better than what maybe that's not what they meant by the big lie, but it's a Nazi propaganda technique that they actually zeroed in on, and there's a definite like literal connection between the Kochs and the Nazis. They had a Nazi nanny who was like very tied up with the Nazis. The Soviets and the industrialists from all these countries do have the ties, because they have the trade ties and they have the technology ties, which they're selling back and forth to one another. They're competing with one another. So that's like, and they have the banks and the connections to the capital. So these are like all the people who are spreading all these. These are like and they even like demonize the Rockefellers. I'm not sure, but I think like the Rockefellers are like more like buddies with the Kochs in a way. They have a lot more in common. But maybe, I don't know, maybe the Rockefellers are somehow, I don't know. It's confusing. All right. So, okay. The big lie. This sounds wacky, I know, but we know what is behind the fascist techniques. Gaslighting, the big lie, and in parentheses, 9/11. They have absolutely zero qualms about deception, and the stakes are really high. This is for all the marbles. We are facing the end of capitalism, and people who are really woke, like me, will start to call for criminal prosecution of the people involved in the and they have done this. Like right around when I was writing this, they have done like suits like this, and this is going to continue to go on. Almost done with this. And the bankers and the people who are involved in these lies for profit and control. That's what these libertarians are doing. I'm saying like people even like maybe even like Peter Joseph or this guy like Tatsu Ikeda, who he started this. They brought all these people. What happened was I was like talking to Tatsu Ikeda, and they brought on all these people to to spar to like all these weird trolls to call me like a pussy hat wearing liberal and all this weird stuff, I'm like, well, no, it's not me. And then like later on, I was like saying the same kind of trap. Like this Tatsukata is obviously like totally full of shit. He couldn't be more full of shit because he's just doing the same typical libertarian propaganda about 9/11 and the climate change hoax. They do the same shtick over and over. I mean, that's the echo chambers. They're all doing the same shtick, but they're micro-targeting all these little different audiences and over and over. That's like the Cambridge Analytical model, and that fits the whole like just what the FBI was talking about with the 13 Russian trolls. It's like it does fit that concept. All right, so now skip to this part. Now to the movie idea. A story about a really progressive woke dude like me, Gary DeForve, and he discovers the whole crazy fake left libertarian ring, and he decides to get one of his crazy friends, like my friend JK, who is a nutty right winger from the Axis. He's from an Axis of Evil. A lot of my friends are from the Axis of Evil for some reason, to cash in on the phenomenon and use this as a tool to expose them. Hilarity ensues. So the guy's friend becomes this big alt-right icon, and maybe the guy tries to expose the whole thing, but nobody gives a shit anyways. Like, still nobody, people. I still have like one, thank you, my one subscriber, RBA Empathy, if you're out there. I have to think about what could happen after that. Then I guess I got stuck on the movie idea. So we're going to go to this YouTube watch, and this guy will mark him. And this is what I was talking about. This guy's like, oh my God, look at this guy. Such an uber schmuck. But this is like the lengths they'll go to micro-target. This is like my point, is like Peter Joseph did it. He did a very skillful job. I don't know who he exactly was involved with, like saying, like, did he do that? Like, I don't know how the hell that all came together. It was obviously a very sophisticated, production, like had all of us hypnotized, but was totally wrong. Totally wrong. And here's another guy. He'll get into this guy here. Let's see if this is not working too good, but so I'm gonna make it big. But look at him. I mean, I feel funny, but look at this guy. Okay. It is sad because he's like just doesn't. I got to go back to his channel and see if he's done any more, because I kind of let him have it. Really, I would really like to see what he might be up to. Let's see.
Welcome to the Stop and Think series. I'm Will Markham. This is going to be a series dedicated to training you not on what to think, but how to think, so that you can dissect all the BS on your own. This introduction lesson will be on why you shouldn't trust the mainstream media. We're going to cover the basics in this video. So to start, remember that these corporate media networks are a business.
But this is all true, and this maybe you shouldn't trust the mainstream media. I agree on this. But But then he's gonna like fold. This is like, where's Xenu? This is like he's gonna eventually. He's gonna get to Xenu, and I understand this is not Tatsu Ikeda. I ended up switching to this Will Markham guy because I came through him, and he does a really great example of. He does like this homemade documentary, and this like fits like the micro-targeting. Whoa, that's weird. The micro-targeting comes out as this weird. If I made like a weird mouse, never mind. It comes out as he's talking about. This is one of the what I was talking about is the libertarian lure issues, we could call it, to get you into it, and then eventually they're going to put out the 9/11 big lie, and they're going to tell you that climate change is a hoax and the big lie too. But I think the U.S. Army and NASA are like more reliable than this guy. Is like why I'm just for now. I'm keeping my mind open about climate change, but I'm going to stick with NASA and the U.S. Army, even though they do weird intelligence shit operations too. But now let's just.
That means they're not in the business of telling you the truth. They're in the business of making money.
Like I said, very typical. They continue to focus on these same.
Now, back in the olden days, the networks invested into their reputation because their reputation meant money. That is, until shareholder capitalism became a thing.
And this is not true, because what happened was that he's telling a story here. Now, I don't know if the writer of this knows, but we know that it was Bill Clinton, the neoliberal monster, who repealed the what's called the Communications, like some weird Communications Act. That, I mean, if you watch the work of, really recommend the work of Thomas Frank to help you understand exactly how the the Democratic Party abandoned the working class and became corporatist and bowed to the same capital. That's why that's why in a way, like Hillary is like, she's just as much of a libertarian as this guy or anybody else. And I know that sounds insane, but libertarian I'm using for anyone who, neoliberal means the same thing. And it's right wing. That's what I'm saying. It's just like corporatist, like where they have the power to create money through debt rather than the people have the power to create money through just printing it for things that, we think are important, like infrastructure, and not just giving it to the military contractors and giving ridiculous amounts to Wall Street and the pharmaceuticals and the the medicine for profit industry.
This is when you had big corporations buying up networks in order to suit their own purposes instead of the welfare of the public. And we were kind of warned of what would happen if
Bill Clinton did in like 90. I'll think of the name in a second of what it is, because I had it right before I started talking about
this trend of media buyouts continued. This here is a clip from 1976 from a movie called.
They deregulated the whole freaking thing. That's what like libertarian is all about. But that's that's why like everything they're saying, if you like think it's gonna like actually make sense in terms of policy, it doesn't make sense, and it's not supposed to make sense in terms of policy. It's supposed to lead people around in circles.
The network.
Starring the mad prophet of the airways, Howard Felix.
This is a great clip from Network, but it has nothing. But they've used this in other things like this, which you should see that movie Network. They're trying to put in like, tell you something about the media. It's true.
It'll be pedal for truth on this network.
But ironic, that's the irony is that this guy is like speaking from the point of view of capital as well. and very fancy, like, just makes it look like interesting. This looks like fun hippie stuff that I enjoy as a hippie, like fun freaky cartoons. Oh, this is that one thing that they put on Saturday Night Live and they never showed again. So this is awesome too. They're showing like great stuff that's true about like corporations. But then they're gonna like go into, oh, the whole point is, that's enough of this one. What I'm saying, that's like I've seen this actually used in other things. Let's see if he did any more. Russian bots on RT. That's just a liked video, I think. Let's see what he has here. And of course, his YouTube video has George Orwell. They like try to push his George Orwell as if George Orwell would be red pilled. He would not. He would be on our side. And I am a Russian bot. Yeah, I mean, he kind of, in a way, he's allied with him. Living in authenticity in a world of the Green Fire Review. Who is this? I mean, this is like, oh, here's the last thing of it. Stop and think. Gaslighting takes leaks in the media. Oh, here we go. The false flag section.
Welcome to the Stop
this is the same false flag shit that we're going to see.
It's dedicated to training, not on what to think, but how to think, so that you can dissect all the BS on your own.
Libertarian micro-targeting documentaries.
False flags. Now, what is a false flag?
They all have the false flags.
Well, here's an example for you.
It's odd. But when I hired Vicini to have her murdered on our wedding, the precedent for economic hitmen really began back in the early.
And then they'll have like legit leftist stuff. See, they'll even have stuff like about how the CIA sucks and the American Empire sucks, and try to like draw you in that way. And like, who knows? I don't know about this guy. If he's a legit guy, there may be some legit false flags, and certainly like our involvement in their whole Iran thing sucked. And this was kind of true. And it was interesting, like even Jill Stein, I saw, like used this one example, which like, yeah, there are media, definitely, we know that the mainstream media was like deceptive. The MSNBC was deceptive about Iraq. All of our networks were deceptive about Iraq. That's why Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks and the people got like involved in other, and all these people like deviated from that. And also Jesse Ventura. So it's like it's confusing. It's very confusing because where does the truth begin and the truth end?
Bears and left his children to die on the cold floor.
Whichever one, if you've seen all these, you've seen these type of documentaries.
In government paid to help fund the attacks of 9/11. The FBI knows it, and the FBI covered it up. That's off some freaky website, right? Not this one. This one is the...
Well, now they're talking about there are weird things about... just like Fox's was owned by a Saudi prince. So you wonder, like, oh, what do the Saudi princes... if you just see how it's like the axes of evil are lining up. I'm going to end this at 25. I'm just going to stop. I'm just saying... This is like this little silly, his name is Will Markham. You could go onto YouTube, and if you want to see this nonsense, just another example of many of these types of, and then he goes into gaslighting techniques, and ironically, like he's the one gaslighting. Because he's like fixing it. And we could show actually where they'll show that, actually whenever they show that Maya Rothschild thing, that's kind of an anti-Semitic trope that they're throwing in there. And it's just like I say, that we're going to see the whole, I'm not sure where they buried it, but there's going to be the weird stuff about like, the Fed and all this nonsense, because they really are just trying to blur all the lines between everything, confuse the left and get them rolling around in circles. So check out this Will Markham guy, Daniel Curcio, Tatsu Ikeda, if you're like wacky or like me and you care about like, you know, because I think these people all do need to be exposed for like the propaganda ring that they are. And once people do like expose them, you know, I don't know, maybe people will not keep going back to the same poison well for the same nonsense. In this one now.